All right, welcome to the new episode of um AICC, the main event. This is the event where usually we talk about news, innovation, things about the AI. It's more like a training and learning channel. But this time we're going to have something special. We're going to have something more related to the medical field. My name is Sandu Bachu. I'm one of the hosts. With me, I have Big Al and also several invites. I like also Bigal to have a few words, and after that, Dr. Raz and people in the audience, if you like to present yourself a little bit. So, Bigal.
Okay, thanks, Sandu. For people who are not familiar with me, I am Big Al Gruswitz, and I have to sometimes explain it's not Big AI Gruswitz. But the thing is that I'm 81 years old. I've been working in advertising for 61 years. 30 years as an art director and associate creative director, primarily in New York, Saatchi and Saatchi, and then 31 years freelancing as Boundless Creativity, doing uh, photorealistic 3D and 2D illustrations, medical illustrations, and what I refer to as difficult retouching, the kind of jobs that their staff people are not able to handle. And the last couple of years, I've added AI imaging to the services that I offer. And so I'm still working very happily. Four times Lazur's Archives has selected my work for their 200 Best Digital Artists Worldwide annual, including this year. And last June, they named me in their ACE report, their annual of creative excellence, as number 2 in the top 10 digital artists in the United States. So with that kind of recognition, I'm still getting clients and I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. So
Awesome.
um, anyways, Dr. Ross, we have done uh, main events with you before where we were talking about medical, but those were all audio things. So the nice thing now is that we have video and it will allow you to be able to show anything you want to be able to show us. And you can share your screen. There's a, excuse me, there's a green share button at the bottom of the middle of the screen. And all you have to do is click on that. And if you have anything that is going to have sound in it, you'll notice on the right side of the window that comes up once you click on the share button, you can click a couple of buttons that will allow the sound to be heard. But if you don't, that's not a problem. You can just share your video. So, Dr. Russ, the floor is yours. You're
I'm
mute.
usually good at this. Uh-oh. Thank you, Big Al. Thank you, Sandu. Another nice show. Yes, the main event is really awesome, and this show, is a nice completion to the end of the week. So I like being here, and it's a good roll off of Sandu's show, which is on th Thursday at the same time as well. So I thank you, gentlemen, for putting on, and actually turning the audio rooms into video. So we know as Sandu's been preaching, where's AI going this year? He says video. Video is the thing. So we're here, we're in the real thing, and we're living it. So yeah, to talk about AI in medicine, I wanted to invite a special guest of mine's here, and I have she'll introduce herself, but Vana Blanca, and she's of Global Anatomics, and this is actually in Miami or Doral, right outside of Miami, at the MARC, which is the Miami Anatomical Research Center, which is an institute for anatomical research, which have the highest fidelity cadavers in the world. So when we're talking about AI and medicine, I thought this was a great place to start off. I am Dr. Raj, that's RAS, because I'm really a scientist. Yes, folks, I am a neuroscientist. I study the brain. I'm a neurotrauma endocrinologist, and that's just a long way of saying I study the brain, damage to the brain, and reproductive hormones, and how do we understand how can we use that to understand neurogenesis and the regeneration of new brain tissue. And so AI has a lot to do with that, and hence the AI in medicine and why I am here and you guys are listening to me. So with that being said, I'm in College Park, which is right outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm a STEM educator as well, and a colleague and business partner of that, Vanna. So I'd like Vanna to introduce herself, and then we'll have some questions back and forth that's pretty enticing. And we have a few guests as well, other speakers on the stage. But Vanna, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, yes. I would like, first of all, thank you, Dr. Ross, for this opportunity, but also Big Al, because put this program together, bring it people with the same kind of mentality or even need. That's amazing. Sadhu, nice to meet you, and the participants here as well. My name is Vanna Blanker. With the accent, you see, it's a little bit heavy because I'm Brazilian. Portuguese is my primary language, but I'm fluent English and Spanish as also. Being in a medical field already for almost 25 years, an education partner and a marketing person, I'm able to working with a great, like Dr. Ross say, bioskills lab in this country is the Mark Institute, but also the global anatomics technology. This technology is a revolutionary technology in terms of preserve specimens. The preservation we provide is almost vivo for general surgeries, but if we at a contrast we call bright view technology, we able to enhance the visualization into the capillaries, and we can use that through CT, C-arm, X-ray, and also ultrasound. And we also can do a bleeding model, because that's the majority of our customers now want to use that. Why AI come to us is the technology, how the way we present ourselves to the world. And when Big Al mentioned about visualization, illustration, and a medical illustration, that is for us important, because that's what we want, to see if we can learning, but also incorporated our technology into this new future communication, the AI. And I want to thank you all for, allowed me to be here. And also, besides that, as Dr. Raz, he knows, we working together with my company. It's called Medical Systems International. Is the one I'm able to develop the courses at the BioSkills Labs, and also use the technology of GEX preservation, because what we want to do is enhance in teaching the anatomy like nobody has done before. Then I hope so we can do through this presentation, this meeting here today, for me to learn, but also to share. Okay, apologize for that. For me to learn and also to share. Okay, thank you very much. Let me pass the word now to Big Al or others.
I wanted to mention that in the comment section on today's event, I posted some anatomical images that I did with Midjourney. And the thing is, they still don't have the skeletal structure right. They don't have the muscular structure right. And don't even ask them about internal organs. It's crazy what they come up with. And because I do medical illustration, I started right away testing to see what the program could do. And, I'm sorry, but, at least they've stopped having 6 fingers on a hand. But the thing is that, there is just no way that you can have an anatomical illustration, I don't think, with any of the AI programs at this point that are accurate. So,
but Miguel, there are 2 aspects here. So one is, as you mentioned, the general AI platforms, which they use general information, they have those hallucinations, or basically the the database which they are relying on is not complete, just to put it in a nice way. But we do have the specialized ones which they need to be their own, having their own training. And I was just curious at GACS if, are you creating that as well? It's clear you bring it to life. I could see it in the, it's written right behind you.
Yes, that's true.
I was just curious, in the mechanism, and back to Big Al's point, how accurate it is, because I do have the same kind of comments in the engineering side of the AI, hallucinations, how that could be under control. And I think it's a great opportunity if we can explain, how we can not have those hallucinations and be actually anatomically, structurally correct, right?
Yeah, I'm very glad you're doing what you're doing because of this issue. It's just necessary. I mean, if we're going to continue to use AI for being able to do the kind of work I have to do with medical agencies, I have to have a source where I can, get accurate information. Otherwise, I'll go back to using my 3D models and doing the illustrations that way.
Well, Al, I'm hoping, and I know we have a few more guests here that we can have them introduce themselves, but definitely, we've had some serious in-depth conversations over the last year or so, talking about exactly what you said, and it was leading to this, right? And an opportunity like this where at Mark and with the GAC specifically, right? The idea is we have the biomedical professionals, we have the technology, but we need to partner with now the creatives, right? Both on the artistic side and on the digital side, the AI side, right? To be able to create, like Vana said, the MSI, and being able to educate the next round of nurses and doctors. And that's globally, right? Not just in the nation or not just in Florida. It's important that we get together and, despite what's going on with everything, find the funding and the resources to actually put all of this together, your knowledge, our knowledge, the technologies, and really get that going. So to that, we definitely want to bring in and talk about Epica. But Vana, can you show? I'm sure you have the ability to share. Why don't you show a little bit of what we're talking about, if you don't mind, Al?
I can do a quick presentation, very fast but here, let me just try to share here the presentation.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's coming.
It's coming. Can you see now?
Yep.
Yes.
You got it.
Yeah.
Perfect. As you know, what we try to do here is to enhance the anatomy process and bring to life, because it's human bodies. And the idea of the GACS technology, when we came, it's to teaching, to show the visualization, show the best for all of us, especially for the ones in need, the new education, the new study, the new students, because that's what we would like to bring it. And the technology you can see here, it's capable, it's real, it's done. After the preservation, we did these images.
So it's like a real physical thing which gets scanned and becomes digital?
Yes. We did it. We obtained the specimen, the donor. We preserve the specimen, and then after we do the preservation, as you see here, we can have the option of a cadaver preservation with the contrast, bright view, and also the bleeding model. We use those technology enhanced into, after the preservation, that's what you see. The quality, when you preserve a specimen, special here, 14 months being after death and being kept in a freezer process, the way normally the BioSkills labs use it, fresh and frozen. We come with the technology, we do the preservation, and that's when you're able to see, especially craniectomy, the visuality okay? Because Dr. Raz can explain much better than myself in terms of as neurosurgeon, neuroresearcher. When you open the cranium, you cannot keep it open longer. Mm-hmm. But with this technology, yes, it's possible for us to show. That's what you see here. What you see in white is the bright view. Okay, and you see also this moisture, this beautiful, clean. It looks like real, as human body, just neurosurgery data process here. And we did this preservation, these cadavers after 14 months being a freezer, the cranium, the cephalus. And that's what you see right here after the preservation be done. We help a lot of institutions using our technology. Included right here, you see the dissection level and clarity. We can do also in red and blue, but this is the beauty. That's what we we preserve the specimen. We did the CT images and also for the nerve studies. What we want to do is getting even from your collaboration better. What can we do with this? Because the technology here, you see it's working. It's a human body. We preserve the technology. After that, we CT or even we scan or do the ultrasound. And that's we can get this opportunity to show you here. It's all real. This is not our AI. This is not artificial. That is done by us in our lab. And that's what we want to be, improve in reality, because that's one thing we always try to do here, just to improve the reality. And what I'm going to do here is like a quick pass, because I'm not going to take your too much time. But let me show you here this video. This video was done post-mortem in a hospital. We are doing a preservation and teaching in this hospital in the United States. Is a teaching hospital, and we are able to preserve immediately the donor post-mortem. And that's when you see the flip of the lung. Also, we are able, through the technology, of course, with using equipment, we able to control the pulse, even the lung. Everything what you see in here is already a deceased person, but the quality of the tissue we maintain here is all through the preservation process, the chemical we use. By the way, is a zero toxicity. Also, this is remarkable procedure we did it. Was for a university teaching, and the students, the residents able to make a mistake during this procedure here. And they was able to correct due to he never saw before the micro veins, even with the help of this equipment. But with the preservation, yes, it was possible. Here, that's something I'm very pleased to show is the bleeding model. That specimen was frozen. It was freezing for 14 months. We did the same donor. You saw the craniotomy was the same one. We dissect this, and before the color was was frozen, very dark, almost black, we can say, and then 20 minutes later, we got this coloring you see right now. Of course, the blood is a fake blood, is not the real one. We use at the lab, but the sensation, even this doctor, orthopedic oncologist, well-known all over the world, but he's Brazilian, he was impressed of the texture of the tissue. And that's what we want to show the reality here. Basically, that's it. This is my presentation, and I just want to thank you all for letting me stop sharing. Okay. And if you have questions or more detail, I can give more. We do have more images, we have more data, but I just give a little introduction. But thank you, Big Al, for the opportunity to show this image. And Dr. Ross, I can pass to you, and then you can complement my thoughts.
First, I'll let them comment, but absolutely, we can answer any questions, and I'll definitely like to comment on some things. Sandu?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Obviously, with AI, I'm almost sure you have other plans as well. To me, it's look like it's a technology to preserve and obviously to learn from it. Uh, I like the idea when you scan it because that becomes digital and obviously that becomes also a learning model. It's all about the accuracy. I do see, you know, AI use it. I know other application when they feed the model with, for instance, skin pictures where you can identify the cancer. I know that's a completely different kind of application, but I was just curious if you want to train AI or if you want to have a model training in the technology which you have, because I could see the advantage, especially from microveins, things which you typically you do not see it when it's live. And obviously when a doctor is doing a surgery, by mistake may miss something, and those kind of stuff. I do see the benefit of using this kind of application.
Absolutely, and I think right on that, Sandu, there's two things we can go right to, Von, and that would be side glass, right? So now about the visualization part of it, and now this is what you're just seeing was the anatomy, the physical, right? But now turning that into digital
Right.
assets, right? Into digital information that we can use in a number of for training, for education, and what have you, even in the professional senses, and Al does, right, with consulting in that space for professional companies. But also, Vonna, we could talk about SciGlass for the visualization and the digitization of that, which they make available in for educators as well
Mm-hmm.
as for scientists, research scientists, but also the Epica. You want to
Yes.
talk about the Epica device a bit? Go ahead.
Yes. The SciGlass, it's the company we launched this program, and then we are now using this technology incorporated with 3D images, and then also we creating our content to being used in the schools, but also in a university in the United States, and looking for to develop also internationally. And the EPCA, that's what you saw, the CT machine, all the scans we did is the EPCA CT. Is a new technology, new machine we use. It's wonderful for this kind of a process, and also helping us to see the visualization of the preservation with bright view. And that's fantastic. We are partners together with SciGlass and also EPCA. And then we are now, even I was interested when Albert made the comment, I'm in contact. I don't know if you're familiar with him, Albert, Dr. Carlos Machado. He's an illustrator for Nether, a Nether atlas. And we're in contact now because you brought something about the medical field and what we should do. It included, I was just spoke with him last week. We're talking about how can we incorporate what we have on hand, the reality, and plus the side glasses, this technology, the 3D, with the AI, especially for disease, not just the anatomy process only, not just the visualization, but also the disease. Because if we can create some program and be able to use what our technology provide, and what these researchers and the illustrators see if we can do something together. Yeah.
I was just curious. It's maybe more toward Dr. Russ. With BCI, we know we can identify in the brain where activity happens, and basically we do a mapping. And now back to JAX, it looks like you do a mapping too, kind of based on the samples which you have. But I'm just curious, if is that going in a database, or what will be the development from there?
Absolutely. And Vonna can expand on this, but yes, so with the side glass, thinking of mapping, so the way I describe side glass is it basically take the images that we get now with the bright view stain, and what we can do with the GAX cadavers or knowledge donors, right? We can visualize down to the micro vessel. So now this is like microcapillaries, like the smallest, what feeds in then from the blood to the body barrier, right? So you're getting down to that level throughout the whole body from head to toe. And now we're turning that these images now by scanning with the Epic device now into where you have a dynamic three-dimensional model that you can now be in an immersive space, and not only can you move and go around, but you peer through the brain through the levels in a dynamic way where you're moving, not just flat layers off, but moving through dynamically at these very micro you know layers, right?
Yes.
Really nano micro layers, right? As you go through, so it makes it where you're going through a very dynamic image that you can then go use three-dimensionally, right? And now this is the addition to what you have in the physical actual body, and the donor. So now we have both of those working hand in hand. So yeah, that will then create a database, because the other thing about these GAX cadavers are, because it doesn't use there are only cadavers on the market that do not use formaldehyde or formalin as a preservative. So what that does, it denatures the DNA and the RNA. So now
Mhm.
we're able to preserve
Yeah.
DNA and RNA, which means we can do epigenetic analysis on these cadavers. And so the importance of that is, when you look at epigenetics or your any genetic inheritance, you can look at things that's from birth, just like AVM, arterial venous malformation, right? Now, this is something which you can detect in genetics, which has to do with vasculature, right? Which only in time, what happens is there's a burst or disruption because of this, how it's formed normally. So you go throughout your whole life with no problem, and then boom, you have a stroke or an aneurysm just because, right? So with this type of technology, now we can start to, again, like you said, bank this type of information to even be predictive, right?
Yeah.
As a person grows. Go ahead, Sandu.
No, you kind of jump on my field, 3D and visualization, because that is exactly what I was kind of trying to steer the discussion, because we saw the other examples where actually doctors can do physical surgeries and overlay the let's say digital body over the real body, and therefore obviously they can pre-plan, do everything, kind of like in construction, you plan it whatever you need to do, and therefore you ensure 100% success, you ensure everything is done correctly. And meanwhile, this is a little bit on the technologies using the lax kind of technology, but in the future, I was just curious how we see that. And I noticed also Eric raised the hand. Eric, you can have the word as well, but I like to see how we can overlay this, what's the biggest advantage, right?
Yes, I'll have Eric introduce himself, speak, and then I will get to that as we switch and talk to about BCI and how
Yes.
that's related to all of this. We'll definitely get to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric, you got the words. I see you raise the hand.
Hello, everybody. Sorry I got here a little bit late, but my question has to do with one of the predominant diseases that we're all facing or hope not to face in our older age, and that's Alzheimer's disease. And I was wondering how AI is working in that field.
Absolutely. Can definitely speak to that in a number of ways, and it goes, and then we can go to back to the BCI. But hey, thank you so much, Eric, for showing up and getting on stage here. Appreciate it. You should definitely let the crowd know who you are and talk a little bit. But for your question, how Alzheimer's, there's a lot of ways. Again, the genetic is what we just spoke about, was the epigenetics and being able to look at family members, but also with AI. What's really interesting, AI is good at pattern recognition. So, meaning you can start looking in regions, environments. You could switch up whatever the variable is, right? Not only just the family, but maybe even looking at diet or a location or something that was introduced into the environment. Different type of variables you can start to look at with AI, in many more ways. Also, the ability to do simulations. And so we talk about these macromolecules and neurotransmitters and different things that may be related or affected. Even looking at vascular Alzheimer's versus Alzheimer's that attach brain tissue versus blood tissue. Those are two different types as well. So understanding the genetics behind that, AI could be important in helping that as well. Just even in the operations of all of this, right? Dealing with the Alzheimer's patient. There's AI technology now with helping like even Parkinson's individuals and being able, which is more of a motor issue, deal with that. But the AI can be used in companionship and memory training. And that's when we get to like the BCI, brain computer interface and all the different softwares that's related to that. Yes, we do. And I have to say, yes, I would say I'll have to plug Neuro, Neeuro, but the Neuro, right? It's a non-invasive, meaning it doesn't penetrate your brain, but I can put this on here. I'll turn it on in a bit here, but I have software on the computer that it comes with, and you can actually not only see how your brain waves are, which, alpha, beta, theta, delta brain waves, like when you're asleep, but you learn to understand your brain waves in general, but then your brain waves as an individual, but also how is that related to function and cognition? But a step beyond that, what we have is training applications to be able to stimulate and train you in memory, spatial learning, attention, flexibility. There's different type of things that we understand about brain function that we can then use this device to really train. Yes, there we go. The Neuro. So Neuro is from Singapore, but they're a business partner of mine. One second, sorry. And yeah, so the Neuro device, right? The Sensi Band 2 here is really good device because it's non-invasive. It doesn't penetrate the brain. What it does, it detects the EEG information come off the brain, which is electroencephalogram, basically electric activity coming off of the brain, and we can learn to understand. So yes, Albin, the CEO there, Michelle, but you can understand and use it because we understand location of function of the brain. Now you can use this not only to train the brain, but also to control things in your environment. Like you see that picture right there. There's an actual video in the link that I put on the post of this where we have a student in class and he's actually controlling a character on the game with his brain. And exactly like you see there. So that's a way, again, to be able to train your brain. This can be used for any ages. The Mind Viewer, they have a few different apps. Yes, Congo is for training, attention, and different spatial learning. We have different type of tasks for kids, but they have also resources for older adults who maybe want to get in more physical activity. So if you go to the solutions and you'll see like NeuroFit or the NeuroBike, um, those are now for older adults, right? And you talked about Alzheimer's. This is exactly would be beneficial in that, where you're combining cognitive and functional, practices with physical activity as well. So the mind, brain, body connection, if you will. So there's a lot of application here, and we do have these for sale, so you can reach out to me. But outside of that, as scientifically, there's so many cool things because we're using this in schools as well, right? To educate kids how to understand AI technology, how to reverse engineer AI, and how to create their own types of technology using this device, but also software as well. Being able to understand how the games are created and create their own games. I'm sorry. I see PK has his hand up and I'll just keep rambling. But Eric, I hope that answered some of your question and dived into the BCI stuff for Sandu as well.
No, that was incredible. It's pretty amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I definitely would like to touch on that aspect as well. PK, you have a question? Feel free to have your voice. Make sure you mute the. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Thank you guys for allowing me to join you. So this week is Brain Week for my kids. So we're doing the body systems. Some of you guys may know. So every week we've been going through a different body system since January. So we've gone through immune system, skeletal system, digestive, muscular, respiratory, circulatory, and now we're on the nervous system. So I wanted to ask you guys, what are some things that you see that are really important that you think middle schoolers should know about the body in terms of the brain and how the brain functions? So my goal today is to kind of do different experiments with each of the five senses for my students, and then next week we're going to start training our AI chatbot assistants. Just to give you a quick context. Their assessment for this unit is they're going to have 5 patients that I've created using 11 labs in HeyGen that are going to also like have different body system issues. So one's going to have like a cold, and then they have to identify which body systems are need help, diagnose which issue specifically they have, and then give them a treatment plan, because I want them to be like community health leaders, and I want to give them like practical tools for stuff like everybody can pass some bullshit, sorry, part of my French, standardized tests. But to be able to actually have practical tools that they understand more about their own bodies, and they can help people in their community, their family members. Like, hey, like you have a fever, that's the flu, not the cold. Like, oh, you got sick really quickly, that's the flu, not the cold. That kind of stuff. And then like, hey, if you get a cut, or if you get something like a bone issue or a sprain or strain, you got to use rice, remember? Like different things like that. Or like, hey, you're having trouble, you're having a panic attack. Let's make sure we breathe. Let's put our hands above our head. Remember, arteries go out and veins go in, because when you look at yourself, you're vain. So
No, it's interesting. You said also you are using a different AI platform. You mentioned HeyGen, and you do that basically doing digital clones and stuff like that. That's super cool for kids to do it. Learning, of course, behind the learning, which is the primary aspect of it, of course. But right.
Yep. And I'm going to be using I think it's Parta, or like a different instructional design thing to have like videos, and basically the patient is going to present, hey, doctor, blah, 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 and I'll have the kids type in their names. I'm feeling really like I have a runny nose, I have this, I have this. Can you tell me what I have? And then the students will have to type in like what the body systems are having issues. And then I was going to try to see what the next thing would be, like play the next video, and it'd be like, all right, well, I have this, this, and this. Like, what should I do next? And then the kids would have to put in like the diagnose the actual issue, and then give them a treatment plan, because I was trying to combine like math and science, because I teach both. And I wanted to make it practical. So each week we've been doing math, like multiplication, division, subtraction, and addition, using like bandages or like milliliters, or like how many thermometers they have in the hospital. So that it'll be like, okay, I know that this is a realistic amount of medicine to give this patient, or I know this is a realistic treatment plan for this patient. Obviously, I teach students with special needs, so a lot of them are like moderate to extensive. So I'm going to include an AI chatbot that's been trained on all the PDFs of the presentations I've done so far. So if they have an issue, they can type in, hey, this patient has blah, 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 blah. What would be your diagnosis? And then they can use that as a support. But my goal is to try to have them use, their beautiful brains as much as possible, with the notes and the worksheets that we've done so far. So like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this book, but I have this human body book. It's from like Dorian Kindersley back in the day, the DK books. And then we have all sorts of fun little diagrams that I created using AI for like the different body parts. This is the digestive system one.
And you said this week is the brain one. Are you using AI to create brain diagrams? And obviously, Dr. Ross can help us to show the activities, which parts of the brain can do different, reactions in the body. I think that is super cool to teach the kids, because we do see a revolution with AI. And maybe Bigal, we can jump on this as well. We know with AI we can educate more, right? We know with AI you can open your mind. Talking about brain, there are two aspects, the mind aspect and the physical part of the brain. But I was just curious, on the visual side, how you help the kids to express themselves, right?
Yeah, and it's cool too because I ordered lab coats from Amazon. They're like kind of costume lab coats, but we're gonna have a white coat ceremony where the principal, the assistant principal, and then the director of technology is gonna come down and then give them these coats as they do the assessment on the patients. Some of our moderate to severe kids, I'm kind of give them something simple like a patient who has a flu or the cold, and they have to decide like between, is it the flu or is it the cold? Okay, that's the respiratory body system and the nervous body system or the immune system. We have to make sure that we like support them. What's the treatment plan? Drink more water, get a lot of rest, that kind of stuff. But then I also have a class full of 10 kids that are like ADHD, autistic, emotional disturbances, processing disorders. And so it's going to be a little crazy, but I wanted to say thank you, all of you, from Dr. Ross, Sandhu, Eric, Albert. All of you guys have put amazing content here on LinkedIn, and I've learned a lot from all of you. So,
PK, where are you?
So I'm in Cupertino right now, but I just found out today that my job is being reconstituted because budget cuts. So I don't know where I'll be in 3 months, but
Oh,
today,
maybe that's a good thing. I don't know, Vaughn, if you want to, if I don't know. I want to say something to the Kakua Institute when
Oh,
he talks about that, but I did put a link in the chat. I don't know, Al, if you can pull it up, but Eddie for Teachers is a company that I work with or partner with. And so there's two things I want to show on this side, what you're saying right now, because this is all up the wheelhouse, right? So I created a STEM course called My Brain and Me back in
oh,
2013.
cool.
And My Brain and Me is basically a 10-hour STEM course where I go in an hour each day over 2 weeks and I teach them one day about their five senses each day for the first week. And then on Friday, I ask them if they know anybody with a brain injury in their family or anything like that. And then I send them home for the weekend with like this crazy thoughts about type of brain injuries. And they're looking at everything because they just learned about your five senses where everything is located. And then they come back the next week and we talk about different types of brain injury from perinatal hypoxia ischemia, which is through childbirth. So the first type of brain
Yeah.
injury you can have all the way up to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, cancer and things like that at end of life. So we go through the life stages, but then we'd prepare them for a field trip. And then they would actually, on the last day, they would come to the laboratory where I work at, but then it was across the street from CHOA, which is a children's hospital. And then they spend a day with kids that have brain injury that's their age. And so that's like called My Brain and Me. And now we're integrating that to be a VR, AR experience, right? So we can definitely talk. I want you to check out the Eddie for Me. I have discounts and I can connect you with some things there with that.
Yeah.
But that's for teachers to help build programs that students can learn more about AI with technologies. And so you can integrate that with the other thing that I do is I do hackathons. I created a place called Hacktonia, and Hacktonia is a place where kids learn to reverse engineer AI technology and understand how a website works, how to build, like, again, a robot and these kind of things, but with prompting, and they slowly work their way to learning how to code. But I say all this to say we can talk on, off air, but there's a lot of things that we can do. But I think you need a hackathon, so I would recommend you go to hacktonia.nix.baby.
Okay.
I put it in the chat, and let's get some stuff going. We can definitely work together and get some things going. What we do, I go to schools and introduce this to schools, and then hopefully we're working, getting to the district level where we can have some district implementation of some of these programs. So I definitely like to co-create and do some things. I see if we have some products and services you would like.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man. I know that next week is going to be National AI Literacy. I mean, not next week, 27th, I think, is National AI Literacy Day. And then in 3 weeks, I'm actually presenting at Arizona states, like in San Diego, they have an AI show. So it's pretty cool. I got nominated as a AI innovator. So I'll be able to kind of present about like what my students are doing now. And then I've been like learning more about neuroscience. Dr. Lauren Waldman, who's this person who does
It's a
like
welcome.
pirate.
Sorry,
Cool.
PK, go ahead.
Okay. No, it's Praveen Kaipa, by the way. I'm sorry, it has PK.
No, I realize Praveen. When I see PK, I say, "Oh, it's Praveen."
Yeah.
Okay, no, super
But
cool.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
But yeah, you can reach out to me, and yeah, and when your things that you have going on too, like there's outlets to support that and promote that. Just, I mean, you might be looking for a new job, you said, right? So
I'm
promotion is good
definitely
at this
looking for a new
time as
job.
well.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to take up too much time on the air, but yes, definitely, this is what it's all about. Why we have an ecosystem. You just never know.
But
Yeah.
regarding different tools for expressing kids, and on the visual side, let's kind of back. We deviate a little bit, but on Hugging Face, probably you guys notice, it's part of the news. I just want to lay a few of them. Hugging Face, actually, they came with a lot of apps, and I'm not sure how often people use that, but I will quickly share a way of actually where you can make an image directly, a 3D image, and there is an app over there called it Trellis. So basically, I'll post the link here, but anything on Hugging Space, you go over there and you can find Trellis, and over there you can take any, it's Friday, obviously we're gonna have Friday robots and all that cool stuff. Pick one, just let's pick whatever robot we have here, and probably you can see it with this in a matter of seconds. In a minute, actually, you'll be able to create a 3D model. So I just upload an image, and after that, you just click on generate. And I know probably the internet is a little bit slow when I'm also presenting with this, but you can create a 3D model. We did that example yesterday during our show. That's a way of actually helping kids. Let them use those tools. And maybe Big Al, maybe we should talk a little bit more on the visual side, doing videos, right? Ton of news on that side as well, right?
Yeah, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about in terms of visualization. One is that my primary source for accurate anatomical 3D models is a company called Turbo Squid. And
3D models, right?
yeah, they have wonderful, everything from, eye cutaways to, I did something recently where I needed the whole body nervous system, and they had a model of the nervous system that we could put in there. I wanted to mention particularly Vanna and Dr. Roz, there is a company called Visible Body, and I put a link to them in the comments section, and they are providing images for teaching with nurses and doctors and schools. I get emails from them quite regularly. What they're not doing that I could utilize would be, if they could provide images that could be used in advertising or in some sort of medical instruction. But anyway, interesting company and what they're doing.
I had some dealings with them a few years back. But yeah, we can. I know some people there. I talked to a few years back, and we were working on some stuff. They got pretty good prices for our student labs for anatomy because they have like the basically laid out anatomical cadaver, and you learn through that, and they're tied to Coursera. And so, you can get your stuff again in Canva as well. They have a nice plug into Canva. So yeah, I do know of them, and if we want to approach them with what you need, we can, work that out.
Okay.
Actually, I'm glad, Big Al, you mentioned that kind of with Turbo Squid and any other 3D platforms which they sell a 3D model. because the next trend, which I'm saying, first of all, not to go too much on the 3D side, we are moving from the real meshes kind of 3D model based on vertices, lines, and faces. We are moving toward the point clouds, the Gaussians, platting, and stuff like that. But I do see on a training side, kind of make it in reverse, doing backwards. There is a process of scanning. Right now, we do have the technology. With your phone, you can scan anything super fast. Even size doesn't probably matter, but something for, let's say, anatomical medical field in general could be easily scanned as long as it is a model. And from there, the new revolution in 3D is actually using those 3D models basically as assets, mostly on the point clouds, not necessarily as initially faces, vertices, and points. Trying to do that splatting, and that splatting actually to be regenerated, basically training the model in 3D. And that is a big thing. Not only that you add another dimension, but it's also the texturing side, the way of preserving the information, and also how you relay it out, because basically you can create metaverses, and that's the new big development which is happening right now. You're not seeing too much out of it, like probably will be next year in 2026. The ones which I know for sure they happen in architecture, they're CoolX in China. Actually, they did something exactly like that. It was specific for architecture, but they did training with 3D models, 3D assets, and they were able to mesh it up and come out with those models. Now, because it's not very well presented, and you don't have too much information about it, I do not know how reliable it is, how much hallucination may have, and all the things which we know it happened with the 2D images. But just extrapolate the same principle, I think we're going to reach to the point where we can take the databases which are 3D and we can generate it as we want. Basically, okay, I have this nervous system of the brain. What if, as Dr. Ross said, make me the prognosis in 20 years if you have this genetic defect? Where is the probability? Where is the high probability to have an aneurysm, or having a stroke somewhere? And that is where I'm seeing actually the real beauty, one-on-one application with the medical field, because you can do those prognosis and basically you can save life at the end. That's make a better life for everybody. So it's very interesting. Like just thinking about concept-wise, whatever it's a concept today, tomorrow is reality. And even in technology, whatever it was on Star Trek is not a fiction anymore. Many of them actually they are reality. Is that true, Dr. Ross?
Oh man, they have to tune in
Dr.
next
Ross,
Thursday.
Dr. Ross, Eric has a question. I like Eric to give us the question after we jump on our subject, which both will have a lot. So, Eric, you have a question.
Just a quick question to follow up on what Big Al was talking about with Turbo Squid and the imagery that's available there. Since video is so big now and everyone's getting into video, we've all seen the movie, well, maybe most of us have seen the movie Fantastic Voyage, where you're actually traveling through the body. And I was wondering, could those images that you find in Turbo Squid be used as images to create video to kind of create the same kind of experience of, say, it's an image of the heart or the image of the lungs or anywhere else, and actually create a video, and I can even travel through it like in Fantastic Voyage, and could even be used in Praven's class to show the kids inside the body and actually going on a little journey. Is something like that in the works or possible, or just
I think with the existing models, there have enough detail in them that you probably could do something like travel in through the aorta and stuff like that. The other thing that you can do is you can mask off the face of the heart, say, and you move that mask in so that we now have a full cutaway where we can see things, and it could do things like that.
But regarding Big Al, talking about Fantastic Voyage, first of all, Turbo Squid is actually 3D model, so yes, we can do everything in 3D. But the whole idea of the movie was actually to shrink. Basically, a human becomes smaller. Same with that submarine, if you want to call it. But basically, you reduce an element from 1,000 points to 1 point, basically shrinking. Is that possible? And this look like, is that actually possible? Theoretically, it is possible to shrink something. And again, I don't want to go to energetic atomic level, but the laws also of the physics, they change as long as you go smaller. But that is another breakthrough, because actually the fabric of the universe right now with AI, it comes a little bit interesting. It's not as we initially thought. It's kind of in that direction. But with AI, people, they start modeling different scenarios, and some of them, they are amazing. Even the whole universe sometimes being holographic and all that cool stuff. But that opened the mind what you can do with AI. That's the reason I want to say.
I'll let Dr. Ross respond to that, but certainly the ability for us to put cameras inside the body and travel in and see what's being done in an operation from right there is a big advancement that's very similar to the traveling through the body.
Yeah, nanorobots.
I just want to mention one other thing related to what we've been talking about. We talked about Alzheimer's and stuff. The project that I'm working on right now is for a new drug related to amyloid clusters or plaque, and up till this point, the medications have only been good at slowing down the process. This new drug is actually eliminating the plaque, removing the plaque. So very interesting project that I've got these two comps to do. And of course, they're advertising comps, so they're dramatizations of that rather than something that's anatomical. But it is. I just think it's interesting how much advancements are going on and things. And Dr. Ross, I would like your comment in terms of where we were the last time we got together, and we've had so much advancement happening in AI visualization and so much advance being done in video. I'd like to know, do you feel that the advances in the medical use of AI has advanced at that same kind of pace?
Depending on where you're at, absolutely. It's actually pushing some of these advancements, right? Because in the medical space, you have, depending on the space that you're in, you have the finances to be able to push some of these limits and these barriers of experimentation. So to answer, but really quickly to answer David, yes, what you said, right? We have actually not just the cameras for surgeries, but we have nanobots, nano medical bots, right? Like now you have basically nanoparticles that can you basically seek and destroy, right? Where you can send it, you can swallow a pill now that has smart technology in it that disperses and find particular things. Um, it's again just keeping track of and then the expulsion of that afterwards and getting that down to a T. But as far as being in the system to be able to visualize, if you really, David, excited about it, you go Corpus Museum in the Netherlands. They have a literal museum where you go through the whole body and do that kind of thing. And so once that gets this type of technology, but yeah, a lot of that is out there, just needs to be refined. And for what you're saying, Al, I think the idea is to get again this advertisement promotional side. We need to tie with the medical side. So when it is the promotion in this, we can even start removing all of these small fine print about not being medically accurate and this. Why? When we're all here why don't we just get something that's medically accurate by working together? And now the advertisements are accurate, and I don't need a magnifying glass to read, can I take this thing or do this thing or not? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, I think that medical agencies aim at, trying to be accurate about things. But, like I did an illustration that was for a DNA test to find out if somebody had a propensity for inflammation. And the illustration was a DNA helix, double helix, that was made out of red and blue matchsticks, and one of the matches was lit, and that was the illustration about inflammation. And it was a spectacular, image, and it was something that really dramatized what they were looking at. Glenn Badkin is a creative director at Harrison Star, and they do medical advertising. And I don't think there's anybody in the business that's better at coming up with concepts than Glenn. In terms of visualizing things. So
I got a question for both of you, Al. I know we're a little bit beyond the hour, but is there a medical advertisement educational program? Like, is there educational formal training for medical advertisement?
there is formal training for medical illustration. And there are people that I know that have that are a certified medical illustrator. I am not. What I am is somebody that can do good research, and I can find what I need to get the right information so that I can put something together. And if all else fails, I can contact my oldest son, who has a PhD in molecular biophysics and doing research up in Boston, to tap his mind as to what I could look for.
Well, Google DeepMind got the Nobel Prize using AI for protein. Right? So that's super cool. Yeah.
I just
Real quickly, so Al, I would definitely like to tap into you and see if we can tap into that network and create in our space where we're at a program for medical illustrators, right?
Yeah.
You know what it takes, and you have the network. I think that's something that would be a beneficial.
Let me tell you, I immediately have in mind a friend of mine, a woman up in the state of Washington, up in Seattle, who I've been friends with for probably at least 12, 13 years now, since when she first started her business. She now has multiple people working for her. They do medical illustration and they do medical video as well. And I would love to put you in contact with her, because they have the wherewith and the people that can produce those kinds of things. So I will set that up.
Yeah, Miguel, to mention, there are a few aspects here, but I like to say people who made the comments, they made it actually on Zoom. And I know Brian posted a nice, interesting over there. He said he did it with Midjourney. Brian, if you like, post it also on LinkedIn. We like to capture those informations on LinkedIn. Of course, a good data training gives you a good result. So, if we can have a platform which can train on good data, kind of what you are saying, Big Al, if people are doing anatomical drawings for decades, obviously they have a good data set. So, but yeah, that's super cool. Not kind of that I need to go in a meeting shortly, but I think it was super cool discussion. This medical field for sure opens many avenues, and we just touch one drop out of it. When you talk about the proteins and what we can do with AI, we can rewrite the entire genetic codes. You guys should probably realize that. So it's super cool, but I think it's good to have those connections between us as people.
I
I'm glad.
have a feeling that we scratched the surface today.
Oh yeah. It's not the tip of the iceberg. It's the first millimeter of the iceberg.
I'm delighted, Vanna, that you could be with us today and show us what you're doing. I think it's spectacular, and I don't know if there's a synergy with visible body, but I think that it seems to me you're going a step beyond what they're doing, and it really is ideal for instructing people for surgery, not just studying the anatomy. I think that's spectacular, and so I'm so glad that we had a chance to be introduced to you today and see what you're doing. Don't be afraid.
Vanna, how can the people reach out to you? How can we get in touch with you? Anyone that's listening?
Yep, I'm gonna just put here my email, especially from the Medical Systems International and also from GEX. Okay, I'm gonna share my information.
Excellent.
Even I can send these presentations for anybody if it's necessary.
Well, if you send a presentation, the contact information is over there. I already saw it.
Thanks for good observation, Sandu.
Yeah. No, super cool. Big Al,
Yep.
what we should do next week?
Well, next week we're going to talk about Luma, a woman who works with them, and she is putting together a presentation for us. It'll be announced shortly. Put together a post about the next 107 main event.
Congratulations, Al. And if the next time we have our is it third Thursday, Sanu, for the medical stuff, if we have a time that we can do a back-to-back Thursday, Friday, that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be because like I said, we're scratching the surface today, and be nice to do a carryover.
Yeah, Jennifer Reed is coming with us next week.
Everybody, thank you for being here today. We are going to be posting the video for this on YouTube, and the link for the video will be in the comment section of the post for this event a little bit later today after I go through and edit a bit. So thank you all for being here. We will be back together again next week and talk about video AI with Luma.
Yes, with Jennifer. All right. Thank you very much. All
Have
the best.
a good weekend, everybody.
Good weekend.
Bye.
Thank you.